in diverse places.
The U.S. is sleepwalking into World War III. Experts warn nation is underprepared. We do not have our Churchill. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Tonight, we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time. We're going to talk about, of course, many sleepwalking into World War III, which I still believe. Again, we have an update on those, of course, the pyramids, the wave attenuation devices, as they may call them. I want to call that out as well, because I actually believe I think everybody is right on that one. So not right as in they're not. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. So again, we'll talk about that here in 2 seconds. The U.S. is sleepwalking into a global war against its top adversaries, united under an axis of malign partnerships. And experts are sounding the alarm that neither the U.S. military nor the public are prepared for World War III. In late July, a body of non-governmental national security experts, first tasked by Congress in 2022 under a commission of the National Defense Strategy, released an evaluation of the U.S.'s overall security strategy put forward by the JB administration 2 years ago. The commission found that after 2 decades of post-war Cold War policies that cut defense spending and reduced investments in the security sector, Washington, D.C. is, quote, not prepared to counter Beijing in open conflict, let alone a multi-front war against China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia. This is exactly what I've been saying, and you guys know I don't have 50 degrees. I don't have an expert plaque. I don't have a wall full of plaques, but I and many others have been saying this for years. And now, just as everything else that we talk about here, now everybody is going to start talking about. Media is now going to be pointing out what we have known for years, and now that media puts it out, people are going to go, well, media is saying it, so it's not true. No, media is just telling you way, way, way too late. Again, it says the commission, which included 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats who served under the Clinton, George W. Bush, and Obama administrations, of course, looked to make it clear of lack of preparedness was not the fault of a single administration, but rather the failure of a generation of leaders to identify and counter the growing danger posed by the authoritarian nations, as well as adequately explain the threat to the American public. So basically, they're trying to make it look like it wasn't JB. Now, I believe it was actually before T-Man 2. You, of course, saw Barack take down several things. He reduced budgets. He actually decommissioned things. Whereas I don't think you could say, even if you hate our former president, I would say this, that he actually kept at least two Navy boats from being decommissioned. He said, hey, if they still work, keep them. We've got a battle ahead of us. His 4 years were really the only 4 years in recent memory that we weren't in some sort of crazy war. So again, with this, it's like, who's at fault? Of course, they're going to put it into a political thing and say, this is. The point is, we're not prepared. And this is something we've known. Not to mention, we've left $700 billion worth of stuff in other countries. We are down at the bottom of our stockpiles because we're sending stuff to, of course, Ukraine. We're essentially, low on everything. For what reason? We'll talk about that and many, many more subjects tonight on Marfoogle TV. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically... All right, let's see here. And again, looks like we've had a technical difficulty. All right, so before we get started, I do want to go over some house cleaning here. We're going to go over the rest of this article, and then we're going to cover what we just covered over on news. Now, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So they're saying that we're not prepared for World War III. I agree with this. For once, I agree fully with this. I think that we're horribly unprepared. What do you think, Dex?
Well, you know, they even pointed out some interesting statistics, such as like in 1952, we used to allocate 17% of our GDP to defense, and today it's barely 3%. And, you know, the other thing I noticed here was some munitions, like anti-ship missiles, are estimated to last only a few days. And then once they're expended, it's going to take years to replace those munitions. So, like, there's certain things that we just don't really have lined up to even think about being able to protect ourselves, let alone carry on a multi-front war. And that's a big issue, a big problem when you look at those two things alone. The fact that you may run out of munitions, and those munitions take you years to make. And the other comment I think that was in here was like, if we had spent more, or if we had built a stronger defense, and now of course that's probably coming from the military industrial complex side of things, but if we had built a stronger defense and spent more on it, then we probably wouldn't be in the situation we're in. And because we would look stronger, feel stronger, and be stronger. And since we're in a weaker position, a lot of things are happening around us that are bringing us to this point. And maybe it's all by design. That's what I keep feeling.
All right, and then now let's do some house cleaning. So we got this email today. We got this message from James S. Now, we just covered this over on news, and we have some updates and some input from Foogle family members, because I believe some Skyway residents or some folks from Florida pointed out that they think that they know what these are. And I believe that they're right, but at the same time, I'm really starting to wonder, did they literally just put dragon's teeth all over the place and then call them wave attenuation devices? Now, if you go before 2 years ago, a lot of the pictures of wave attenuation devices, which if you don't know what it is, I didn't know what they are either. Essentially, so look at this. It says the mysterious pyramids near the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, which was not the location where he was, I believe, are wave attenuation devices, which are designed to protect the shoreline from erosion. Now, check this out. It says that it is to reduce wave energy and momentum to prevent erosion. They are fiber reinforced concrete. Now, that is not, I don't know if fiber reinforced concrete is different, but then, of course, you have 8.5 to 10.5 feet tall, which makes sense, partially submerged in the water about 200 feet from the shoreline. Not on the shoreline, which I guess we'll see with time. Then when you go, so fiber reinforced concrete material. Then you go to dragon's teeth. It slow down and channels tanks into kill zones. They are also shaped very specifically. If you look all throughout history, dragon's teeth are shaped exactly like this. And the reason why is the tank treads will roll up on it and go up. The reason I say this is basically a dragon's teeth as well is because it is the exact shape needed to be a dragon's teeth. Now, if you go to that, it says that, of course, design large square pyramids made of reinforced concrete and rebar. Now, I don't know if there's a difference between fiber and rebar, but in the ones that we see in the pictures, those actually have rebar placed. So are the actual wave attenuation devices concrete and something weaker than that? Is it, or is fiber the same thing? Again, do they mean fiber as in, some sort of that? I would think that it would mean fiber. So again, these ones that are actually pictured and you can actually see them being made, these have rebar and they have stacks of rebar on the side. So here's the thing. They could say to the public, hey, these are wave attenuation devices. But at the same time, before this, if you actually look up what wave attenuation devices looked like, they varied. And usually these were 200 feet out. These were out in the water, or they were in different places. Is there a dual purpose? Others said that it was an artificial reef, which actually it very well could be. Maybe they're covering multiple bases. I guess we'll see if these things end up getting moved into the water. If they stayed on the shoreline, I would think that would be, that would remove the artificial reef out of it. The reason why, if you didn't join us for the last video, is because James S. sent us this message. essentially said that he is a combat engineer and that he saw these being put up in Florida. So very, very odd. And he said that they looked like dragon's teeth. I thought the same thing. Again, but from Fugel family members in Florida, I believe that they live there, so they knew kind of the scoop on it. They said that these are called wave attenuation devices. Again, when you go look up wave attenuation devices, you can find one that looks like this, but more of the rest look like these kind of balls, or they're much lower. Go ahead, Dex.
Either way, based on the shape, they can protect the coastline. They're sitting on the coastline. They're not in the water. They're blocked by trees to get there, but they're right there at the coast. But my question is, why now? Why now are these all of a sudden appearing and people are talking about it? Given the heightened state that everything is in with the potential conflict. And this location where he's at is a highly critical location. It's that area around Cape Canaveral. It's that area around what they call Space Coast, where, all of the space rockets launch from. That's where Space Force launches from the East Coast. They do the same thing in Vandenberg on the other side, on the West Coast. So yeah, it's a very critical location. So you may be right, or we may be right in the sense that there's a multi-purpose here for what these could be doing.
Well, and all of the articles say mysterious. So obviously the people that, when they were putting them up, everybody started asking questions. They were like, hey, what are these? And if you see all of the articles, they show them along on the actual shoreline. And then you see some other countries have used these. Where did WADS come from? Where did this specific design come from? Well, when you actually look, it looks like basically WADS were something that was pulled out of the idea from the actual dragon's teeth that were in other countries in water to stop a coastline D-Day kind of Normandy event. And what they saw is they saw that these dragon's teeth that they put against people doing these drop ships, from what I saw, is they said that they saw that also had a secondary purpose, that it stopped erosion and that it slowed the waves, and that the animals actually put on there. So what do you guys believe? Let me know in the comments down below. We might have to do an updated one because we did not have that info when we did that video. I personally am very skeptical, especially where it is. The ones over here, yeah, they're exactly the same thing. How are they made, though? Are these any different from the typical ones? Some of these, again, look like they don't have holes, or they do. I was very confused by that one. All of the rest looks like they do have holes, which makes sense. If sea life could go in there and make reefs and things. But where it is, right by the launch center, kind of weird. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, and they're designed to prevent horizontal movement. In other words, the structure of a pyramid like that is to prevent the horizontal movement. So if a wave was horizontal, obviously it is the same thing as a tank, which is horizontally coming into it, either pushing or getting caught into the side of it. So their structures are identical in the sense. That's why they look, potentially the same, and why they form and function the same, except maybe they do a little different if they're trying to put it in salt water. But nonetheless, these can, in my opinion, they can be used to stop because that's their purpose, is to prevent that horizontal momentum.
And I did just figure out why that one doesn't have holes. You can see in the background there's these ones that have been hammered out. Apparently they mold it and then they pop out the holes in there. So yeah, it makes me wonder, and also how long have the wave attenuation devices, have they been used for years and years and years? Why up until just recently did they look very much different? There's tons of other images. Did they end up copying this off of something else? If you see in Scotland and other countries, you go look for yourself. You'll see that a lot of countries that have been in a direct war have also had these in their thing. Is this something that they don't cause panic, or is it truly what they say it is, and it is just an artificial reef? I don't know. It seems very strange considering all of the kind of action and all of the stuff that's going on off of Cuba. I think it's very easy to believe, oh, well, they say it's this, okay. But right now, the timing, and now they're making hundreds of these along the coastline. Somebody else chimed in and said that there's now thousands of them. So are they doing this because, all of Florida is sinking because of the Great Change? I don't know. But I did want to add that because we got obviously a lot of information and a lot of people from chat that chimed in. So we wanted to update you on that. All right, and then let's go to the next piece here. And in fact, Dex, do you want to start on the second article? I'm going to pull it up here in just a second.
Yes, certainly. So we've got some commentary coming in from Lavrov, and specifically now we're talking about the Arctic interests and the fact that the NATO allies have been staging and creating more Arctic drills and encroaching in the Arctic, and it seems like to Russia that now NATO wants to push them out of the Arctic. So Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov vowed in an interview published on Friday that Moscow would defend its interest in the Arctic both in diplomatic and military terms. Russian news agencies quoted Lavrov as saying in a series of documentaries that Russia was resolved to counter a drive by the United States and its NATO allies to stage an increasing number of military exercises in the Arctic region. We see how NATO is intensifying exercises in connection with the possible crisis in the Arctic, Lavrov was quoted as saying. So, it was coming from, I guess, a series titled Soviet Breakthrough. But our country is fully ready to defend its interest in military, political, and military technical terms. So he's basically saying we'll go toe-to-toe with NATO in the Arctic if we have to, not just from diplomacy, but also from a military standpoint. So we have talked numerous times about how now we even have China, obviously partnered with Russia, working diligently to take on more control and create more Arctic passageways and have Arctic bases. And I think that is where we're starting to see, because the Arctic is very important. It's the shortest distance between all of these three countries, China, Russia, and North America, whether it be for trading nukes, or whether it be for trading goods, as in Russia and China look at it as an opportunity to, as ice recedes in some of those areas, to actually open up channels of trade. But as it relates to military action, those are very shorter distances to travel, and that's why most of our ICBMs point to the north, and most of our defense early warning systems are looking to the north to see when those may come in, if they ever do.
Hey, great comments. One was about, is that guy wearing a lizard mask? About Lavrov. He does, man, if there were those kind of people, then I don't know. I think he would be on that list. But as far as another great comment, who said that? Somebody said rebar would rust in water. So and it would structurally fail, something like that. That's a really good point. I didn't think about that. So that's why they say that the wave attenuation devices are fiber and concrete, but they say that the dragon's teeth are rebar and concrete. Huh. I don't know. That's a good catch. Here's the thing. We don't know. And I sure hope that people are right and they're artificial reefs or whatever. Somebody said hundreds or thousands of them. Is this a Bermuda Triangle experiment or something? I don't know. But what I do know is that we want to update you guys on anything and everything we find out. And if something changes, we want to update you on that as well. I really hope that they are not worried about them coming on our shores right now. I think it's more likely that it will start in Europe or start in North Korea and South Korea, something like that, and then we end up jumping in. If they are truly worried about stuff coming here, well, I kind of think how that situation would go is they're already here and people are setting up, especially given the last 4 years and how many people have come over, military-age men with buzz cuts, wearing camo, all in groups, slicing chickadees and drinking their blue da. So I don't know. That's what I'm more worried about. That we won't have parachuters. We won't have paratroopers. We won't have drop ships. We'll have people tap on our shoulder and be like, "Hey, put this red bracelet on, and your curfew's 8." That kind of thing. And then I can't repeat that, but that's pretty funny. And then thank you, Randy Man, Ginger Ninja, J Pass, James McGowan. What is going on? Wharton Fissel. What is happening? And everybody that popped into chat. Thank you guys. All right. And thank you guys for the Florida peeps out there too, looking out for us. And then rare Israeli airstrike in Beirut takes out Hezbollah commander and more than a dozen others. So I'm pretty sure that this means that you're going to have big old posters in the Middle East, big old side paintings, murals of this guy's face, because now he is officially a martyr, I'm assuming. Israel launched a rare airstrike that took the life of a senior Hezbollah military official in a densely populated southern Beirut neighborhood on Friday. It was the said strike on Lebanon's capital in decades, with Lebanese authorities reporting at least 14 people perished and dozens more wounded in the attack. The Israelis' military chief spokesman, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, said that the strike on Beirut's southern Dahaya district killed Ibrahim Akil, a commander of Hezbollah's elite Radwan force, as well as 10 other Hezbollah operatives. Says, quote, "We will continue pursuing our enemies in order to defend our citizens, even in Dahaya in Beirut," said Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, describing the Israeli strike that targeted Akil as part of a new phase of war. So if you've been following our show for the last couple of days and following really closely in what's been going on in general, this is on top of them basically saying they've pulled the final straw. We're going to get you. And on top of the walkie-talkies, on top of the pagers event, which, again, the Hezbollah leader ended up saying that was a declaration of war. He didn't mince words. He said that akin to a declaration of war. On top of that, they then sent in a strike and ended up taking out one of the Hezbollah commanders. Dex, I would think that would kind of go past the declaration of war there. I mean, how is it not a war anyways?
At this point, Israel had at first laid the 1-2 punch, but now they've laid the third one too, right? And they're just going, one right after the other. And so this is so on the brink, so to speak. And I think everybody's saying that. Like that's why you see the US, the UK, and others trying to get everybody to back down, because they know this powder keg is already lit and the fuse is run out at this point. So, I don't know how this isn't going to be a full scale situation in the coming days. It would take a miracle for this to calm down, in my opinion, just because of what has happened. And because of the tension that was already there, the fighting that was already there, and it's been taken to such a great level. Now, if Israel was successful at damaging the other side significantly enough that they're now weakened, that might be a different story. I don't know that. We have no clue. At least nothing's been reported to say that they no longer have the ability to fight back. If that was the case, that might be different. Then you would see negotiations. You might see some other things happen. But yeah, we are on the brink at this point because of the fact that there's so much organization of multiple groups across different parts of different countries. Obviously, we're talking specifically about Lebanon and Hezbollah, but there's also others that are involved, funded by Iran, one of Israel's main enemies, who has also sworn to retaliate over this. So this is on top of the retaliation they're supposed to have already delivered that they haven't done yet. So they've got, a twofer they're supposed to deliver. So yeah, this is going to happen at some point.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. Gosh, technical difficulties left and right today. And actually, so they're probably going to run out of space on some of these buildings. Most of the buildings, they did call. You see in that article, as I said, Lebanese militant group described Akil as, quote, a great, honest leader, and said he had joined the procession of his brothers, Soleimani, the other guy, the president guy, the presidential candidate, and then the negotiator. Now he's one of 4 that they're saying was like really up there, the great martyr leaders after a blessed life full of jihad, work, wounds, sacrifices, dangers, challenges, achievements, and victories. So they are counting him. They're putting him up on a pedestal, which means that this is a huge mark for them. They're telling their people, they're saying this was a big deal. This was a giant deal. This gentleman is a martyr now in our country. So that kind of shows you right there that it wasn't just like, oh, they took out a private in the military or something. They took out one of the commanders. And then before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield if you haven't already. We've recommended this for years, obviously because there are many countries that have now threatened this. Now almost every one of our adversaries, I believe every one of our adversaries that we talk about now has the ability and the access to a super EMP weapon. Not only this, now they are actually warning, DHS and other agencies are talking about non-nuclear EMP devices that can fit into backpacks. They would have something like a 5-mile radius, enough to basically knock out a city. So they have actually talked about this for the last 6 months, and then, of course, EMPs, the big ones, for a long time. And many people are now finally kind of starting to get it. The fact is, if we actually wanted to put our country on a whole nother level, they could fix this almost immediately, but it is extremely slow. Our last president actually signed an executive order to harden our grid. That executive order was one of very, very, very few that JB did not unsign on his first day. So that is still there, but yet it is basically going as slow as a snail. And this we have actually found out from multiple companies that have worked all around this entire executive order. EMP Shield is actually one of the companies that was not only mentioned by the DHS EMP resilience report, but it is also helping different states, including Texas, and should be that you should be actually seeing EMP shields locally if everything goes well. Again, this is a device you can easily wire into your car, truck, motorcycle, generators, or your home, and it will protect you. So if we all had this, we would have no issue when an EMP hit. If all of the homes, all of the cars, and all of the, of course, transformers had them, we would be set. We would be protected against one of the largest and most dangerous attacks to our country. That is because they say if they do hit us with a super EMP, 90% of us would perish. And that is all because of a failure of infrastructure, and it would basically lead down to not having enough water. So go to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. It takes less than 10 minutes to put into your car. It's very easy. Anybody can do it, and you'll be protected to get home or protected to get out. It also protects you against a Carrington-level event from the sun, so you can't really go wrong. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Code MARF to save $50 off and to help our channel at the same time. All right, Dex, let's go over. China has 100,000 mines ready to sink in the U.S. Navy.
Wow. So China's growing maritime capabilities, particularly its manufacturing prowess and technological advances, pose a significant strategic threat to the U.S. Navy, as they're saying. Beyond having a large fleet, China is developing innovative attack methods, including mass productions of cheap yet highly lethal naval mines. So these mines are difficult to detect and capable of targeting U.S. warships, including aircraft carriers, especially constrained waters like the South China Sea, the Taiwan Strait, areas that China, claims it has territorial control over. So here's the interesting thing. If they start to lay these mines, like obviously they have thousands of them, they haven't necessarily put them out there, but if they start to, and they say, you know what, we're going to control the area, and it's going to be our area, and we're going to put mines in it, and we'll know where they are, but you won't. What's going to happen when one of those mines explodes? Is that going to be an act of conflict, or is it going to be, well, we warned you, and we said don't come through our area, and you did? Of course, one side will say it's an act of conflict and the other side won't. But that will be a massive shift in strategy if they actually do it, if they actually put these mines into the water. It will. I'm just envisioning like Germany, who just recently passed through the Taiwan Strait. What if they passed through and they sunk a ship because they ran into a mine, or they severely damaged a ship because they ran into a mine? That would be a major escalation.
Yeah, it could lead to a declaration of war. Let's head over to the chat real quick. Thank you, Harley Berg, Ellen Brooks, Ghosts and Cars. Nice to see some new names in here. Mama Bear, what is happening? John, Laura Griffith, it's nice to see you. Haven't seen her in the last few days. Who? Again, Bobby Sue. Hopefully everybody's okay. Preppermint, what is happening? WIS Jen, what a great point at Dex James. Yes, extremely good point. As far as, Germany just pushed their way through that. And Japan has been pushing the envelope, if you haven't noticed, with all of the South China Sea incursions. And then Taija NZ, Tracy Q, Sam Wallace. We've got Dallas in the house. We've got, of course, Oregon. We've got California. Nice to see you. We've got people over on X. We've got people on Rumble. We've got people on DLive. Terry Wilkerson, Tasha. Thank you. Uncle Huru, what is happening? Eugene Crawford, what is going on? You can call me Eugenius. And then Grindhouse, what is happening? Let's see here. Mr. Enigma. Is it Mr. Enigma? That's Batman, right? Isn't that the Riddler's real name? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Shansta, what's going on? Jeffrey Woolidge, and of course Kuro Miko. Rip Curl, hey, from Southern Oregon. And make sure to go check out Rip Curl and all of our other mods like Ilea. Of course, we've got so many great mods in the house. Go over to marfooglenews.com/friends. All right, and then we have Chinese hacking, quote, typhoons threaten U.S. infrastructure. So this is yet another point of contention here. The Chinese government is running another broad campaign to hack as many American organizations as possible, heightening the threat across critical infrastructure. It says why it matters. The new hacking campaign suggests China could hold more expansive power to turn off key U.S. UN infrastructures than previously thought. Now, if any of this is true, this is really insane. So first of all, they've even come out. The Pentagon has put out white papers saying that they have now caught that China is laying in our infrastructure, basically waiting to attack. And now they're finding that it's worse than they thought. What do you think China would do if they did want to take Taiwan and they understand that the U.S. is going to step in on that? Would they try to, handicap the U.S. before they essentially clear out all of the systems that they're laying dormant in? Or do you think that they would do it now, right after the discovery and before they're able to fix the problem? It says, of course, driving the news, FBI Director Chris Wray said at the Aspen Cyber Summit on Wednesday that the Bureau and its partners hijacked thousands of devices last week that a Chinese hacking group had infected with malware. Flax Typhoon, a new China-backed hacking team, infected home routers, firewalls, storage devices, and Internet of Things devices like cameras and video recorders. I wonder if they could also hack other things like, people's smart light bulbs and things like that. As of June, Flax Typhoon's botnet included more than 260,000 malware-infected devices across North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Southeast Asia, and Australia, according to a U.S. government advisory. Half of the hijacked devices were located in the U.S. Security researchers at Black Lotus Labs said in a coinciding report that hackers have used the botnet to target U.S. and Taiwanese organizations in the military, government, higher education, telecommunications, defense, and IT sectors. So basically everybody, right? The FBI also alleged that the Flax Typhoon hackers worked for Integrity Technology Group, and a Chinese tech company that does contract work for Beijing's intelligence agencies. The FBI also said that Integrity Technology Group operated and controlled the botnet. Dex, do you want to talk about the threat level and the big picture and why this is pretty incredible on top of everything else that we've covered?
Well, look, having anything threaten the U.S. infrastructure is a major, major problem. And the fact that, a threat like this, China lurking inside, and we've said this before, like we think that they've just been sitting dormant, waiting to attack. We've seen this. Look, you just saw it play out this week. Israel sat dormant, waiting to attack in pagers. They sat dormant, waiting to attack in handheld walkie-talkies, right? And then when the time was right, they launched their attack. And in that case, it was more kinetic. In this case, this could be, they're ready to pull the trigger, and it's bring down the lights. It's shut down the water systems or overload the water systems. It could be any number of things that could cause havoc around our infrastructure, networking, communications, all of that. They can be lying dormant there. We don't know it, and they're ready to pounce whenever they're ready to have it happen, which would be coordinated more than likely with other events.
What if every cell phone in the United States just went boom all at once? I thought about that. There's a movie called Dragon Day. Most of you have probably heard of it, at least. A lot of you have probably seen it. It's not a great blockbuster film, but it has a good plot. And I say good plot, not script writing, but plot, because they go over an idea that actually is extremely realistic and I believe was kind of ahead of its time as far as, I think the movie was made in 2011 or 2012. And it essentially breaks down to that China put backdoors in all of the technology. While you go 5 years forward or something was when the first kind of rumblings of this were in official documents. So they were kind of ahead of it. Now, if they did, they say they have these backdoors in it. If that is true, what else could they do? With this whole thing that happened in Iran, or with the Hezbollah, the walkie-talkies, and the pagers, it makes you wonder. That's why it's so important to know, did they make the lithium battery blow up, or was there plastic explosives in it? What is the truth on that? Because that's very terrifying if they can send a signal to certain things and make them go off. A beeper has a certain thing. The radios, though, were these walkie-talkies, can they just put something over a certain frequency and then make them go boom? Because cell phones have a unique identifier, right? So they can hit an exact group of people. That's a terrifying kind of attack because you would get the people that you want without destroying anything around them. People have their cell phones and things like that, in their hands almost all the time. You, like I said the other day, you look at a picture of New York now compared to 25 years ago, people were walking down the street. Now, if you look, every single person's a zombie looking at their screen. I mean, heck, you're doing it right now, most likely. I mean, isn't that kind of freaky to think about? What if the thing right in front of you you're watching this show on ends up going boom and taking your dome off? I mean, that's scary. So, and what if something like that happened in a regional or smaller area, but at thousands and thousands of people? And then what if there was some sort of narrative where, they say it was somebody else, but it was actually our own or somebody here or a different group and framed another group? That's a terrifying aspect too. They keep telling us that there's groups inside the United States that are trying to get everybody into some sort of civil conflict. But, what does our community actually think? It's a little bit different than that. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Of course, again, try to be nice. And then Dex, U.S. national, tortured until he perished in Ukraine by Russian soldiers. At least that's what Moscow says.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. This is coming out of Moscow. So Russell Bentley was a U.S. national who went missing in UKR, but it was in the Russian-controlled eastern area, so the area that Russia had taken over. It happened earlier this year, and they are now suggesting, as you just said from the headline, that was his cause of perishing. Russian soldiers who are now set to go on trial, Russia's top investigative body said on Friday. So I guess the alleged Russian soldiers that are responsible for this are on trial. I start to wonder how much of this is, if there's truth to it, good, then they should, hold people that are being, acting in a way that's unbecoming or incorrect in the time of conflict like this, accountable. On the other hand, I also wonder if we'll hear from them, from Russia, that these guys were innocent and there's nothing ever really happened, and we'll just get brushed under, and it's just pomp and circumstance to cover the bases, so to speak. We won't know until it comes about, but as we've seen with other cases, and in Russia, I could imagine, the justice system is probably not as just in other countries as it may be here. And I think many people here say it's not just here either. So, but I have a sneaking suspicion there's a little bit more involvement in corruption in their country. That's just my opinion on it. I could be completely wrong, but yeah, we'll see what comes of it. But man, the fact that this did happen, it's pretty sad to hear that. This is the first, I guess, I've even heard of it coming out, and we're hearing it from Russia, not from Western media sources on it. Well, Western's reporting on it, but they're doing it because Russia is announcing it.
My personal opinion is that everywhere is corrupt, especially after talking to one of my friends she was in a female prison, and she said there's this huge thing going on right now. Our prisons right now are having all sorts of corruption things. Obviously, we've all seen the jail movies of or prison movies where there's always that guard that helps sneak in the cell phones or whatever else. Pretty much every single jail has that. So that's corruption in itself, and we know that happens almost every place. There's that. But when it goes up levels, where it goes up to the people up top, that's even worse. Well, the whole prison system is like a private, a lot of it was, the whole thing was that it's these private companies taking over that whole aspect. Some even believe it ties into everything way back to the 70s and how things changed so they could get people people are talking about with the whole Diddy thing, that rap and stuff like this. There are theories that it was supposed to glorify criminality to get people to basically do stupid crimes and then overfill the prison system because it would make, these people money. I don't know what the truth is on it, but I do know it's like, whether it's Russia, whether it's Australia, whether it's Canada, whether it's the US, whether it's Mexico, what place isn't corrupt, especially after 2019? Can you think of a country that hasn't wronged its citizens in some way? I mean, take Canada, for instance. The whole truck convoy thing, that's horrid. Obviously, Mexico, Australia, putting people in those basically jails. I mean, it's crazy. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and to continue on with the Bentley story, though, you guys also need to understand that he was a self-declared supporter of Russian-backed forces in UKR. So he was actually allegedly supporting and fighting on Russia's side. Does that make sense? So that may also be why they're holding this this case or talking about it publicly, because it also gives them that spin too. Like, we have this U.S. national who was supporting us and was on our side, but unfortunately some people did some bad things to him, and now we're going to hold them accountable. Yeah, interesting spin on this one for sure.
Well, did they think he was a spy? Like, oh yeah, you really support us? Okay, how about some electrical wires to your nipples? We'll see about that. And then one guy just went too far. Every single member of the board just resigned from DNA tester 23andMe. Now, I bet there's probably some sort of rabbit hole here, because if you think about it's really crazy. It's really crazy. The person that ran that, their sibling ran this for a while. And in fact, just recently, the person who ran this, the CEO, perished. And now you, of course, have every single member of the board just resigned from 23andMe. Following a months-long battle over CEO Ann Wojcicki's plans to take 23andMe private, all 7 independent members of its board resigned en masse Tuesday. The move is almost certainly the final nail in the coffin for the embattled company known for its mail-order DNA testing kit. Since going public via merger with a special purpose acquisition company in 2021, 23andMe has never turned a profit. Its price on IPO day was $10. So far in 2024, it has yet to reach a $1 valuation. Following the resignation of its independent directors Tuesday, the stock fell to rock bottom 30 cents As of midday Wednesday, it is back to 36 cents. So good stock deal there if it ever comes back. So do any of you guys, what do you guys think about all of this? I have never done any of those things because I personally I'm afraid of what they can do, one, with DNA. I've never seen a company that I can go, oh, I trust that. But I've always wanted to, and I don't know if any of you are in the same boat. I've wanted to do those DNA stuff because there's stuff I don't know on my father's side. You know, my dad died when I was really young, and I don't know any of his family. So it's like I wanted to know my family, but if I do it, then I'm giving this data, which then could be stolen by somebody else or, who knows, sold by one of these companies. Dex, the whole thing with this is just, first of all,
did you know the connection continues? This is interesting. So the person who replaced the sister who used to run this platform that we're broadcasting on, he also took the helm, or he took the helm of her position as CEO of this platform, but he's also became a board member, or is a board member at 23andMe. So the connection's still there, which is rather interesting. I don't get that. I don't understand that one at all. I'm sure I've got plenty of ideas. But nonetheless, this is definitely one of those scenarios where it's interesting. I wonder if we're going to see a lot of other people stepping down. Is there something going on in the world right now that are causing people at a CEO or board level or high levels to step down? Is this just solely related to the fact that the company's done poorly and it's doesn't look like it's going anywhere? Or is there something else happening and some other, hammer's about to drop in the news, so to speak, that is going to cause a lot of people to be shooken up? I don't know. Start paying attention to the people that are resigning. Not these people, all of them.
Well, and are we going to see a mass exodus again? What is actually happening? Are the very, very top people, all going to grab their golden passports? And then Diddy is placed, and you can't make this stuff up. You just can't make it up. So I guess, guys, 3-day watch, okay? Diddy was placed on watch. They want to make sure he doesn't hit the off button on himself. As video shows, star inmate claim he was rapper's slave. Now, there's all sorts of stuff coming out about this, and it is insane. It is insane. And the other night, even when we mentioned it, people immediately said, oh, it's all a distraction. You're very well right. At the same time, the people that are saying that this might be the most disturbing thing and might be something really big, they are right as well. Because this has all sorts of deeper kind of connections. There's deeper meanings to it. If you look at this whole thing, there's so many different connections between all of the biggest people in the world. Including the top people that run the countries. It's incredible. It says, Sean Diddy Combs is on the off button watch at New York jail. And I'm not kidding, New York jail. A shocking video claims he was the sex slave has resurfaced online. Combs, 54, was placed on monitor at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, which is standard for high-profile individuals, source confirmed to Daily Mail. He was arrested and indicted earlier this week in Manhattan for trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in basically hookerish. And then, of course, Combs was remanded to MDC after a judge on Wednesday denied his attorney's bid to free the disgraced hip-hop mogul, despite offering his flashy Florida home in Star Island and his mother's house as a $50 million surety. As Combs remained in a Brooklyn cell, a man named Jonathan Audie, who claimed he had relations with the rapper, and his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, also remains in jail. Now, if you didn't know this, Jonathan Audie, in 2018, tried to go into a hotel. I don't know if it was one of T-Man's, our former president. It was. Was it?
Yeah, it was Doral, Trump National Doral.
Doral. He went in and popped shots off. And did he hit somebody? I forget if he actually got somebody.
No, he popped shots off, threw a flag on the desk, ripped down a chandelier, broke a bunch of glass, and then fired upon the police. When he ran out of ammo, he went running away upstairs.
Got hit in the leg.
Hit in the leg like 3 times, and then he finally gave up.
And then once he gave up, his interrogation is one of the wildest and craziest interrogation. Dex, did you end up being able to watch it?
I watched the entire interrogation, and I'm telling you, if you'd have watched the interrogation 4 years ago, you would have been like, yeah.
Did I not tell you? Did I not tell you?
You were spot on. Everyone who would have watched that would say, oh, this guy's crazy. And that explains it, and case closed, move on. And now you look at it and you're like, wow.
It's so insane.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
Like,
I think the next article we have actually goes in greater detail than this one on it. But yeah. It Adam, you were spot on. When I watched that, you told me about it. I was floored. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't, I recall that from back then. And it was sort of like, you just wrote it off, crazy person. But now it's like, maybe he wasn't crazy. Maybe he was spot on.
Because the things he claimed back in the video now are being claimed on court documents separately. And it's like, holy moly, this is insanity. He mentions the different, illuminated ones. He mentions all sorts of stuff. He mentions the card game that predicts stuff. He talks about all sorts of stuff. Like, if I said word for word what he said, I would be in an asylum. Like, I am so blown away that he just sounded like he was schizophrenic. I mean, he sounded just insane.
And even what he said he had to do in that relations department with Diddy and Cassie, you would have been like, hey, okay, whatever. That just sounds ludicrous. But that is exactly what has been now described in other court documents. Not him by name, but the exact same thing. So how did he know that?
Wait, like, Ludacris was there too?
No. Sorry.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, who knows? These tentacles run deep all over the place.
Whacking into my shed.
The rabbit hole will keep you up all night if you want to go down it. I know. I agree, Adam. It was pretty interesting when I started to watch that and then read some of the other stuff.
I will shout out, and somebody I've told you guys to go check out is Ian Carroll. Is it something Ian Coco or Ian Carroll on Twitter? He's like, it's so crazy. I believe he got bigger on TikTok, which I'm so surprised he's able to do anything like what he does on TikTok. But I do have seen him say that he's gotten stuff basically, taken down. He's a good researcher, that's for sure. He goes deep. He gets the documents behind him. I wonder if we can get a FOIA on that video of that interrogation, because if I showed you guys, you'd be like, what the hell? In 2018, nobody paid attention, and then it's on a YouTube video that was posted 3 years ago at least, and nobody publicly knew about all of this stuff yet. Nobody had any rumors. There wasn't any kind of rap beef. Even if you're not into rap, like, this stuff goes deep. Well, I don't even want to go into how deep it might have went, because that's what Diddy liked to watch. But I will tell you this. It is absolutely insane. It is connected with the former president, apparently. Well, it's connected with all of them, because they're saying he's, cousins of all of the rest, and that they all hate him and they want him out of the club or something. I don't know. It's just nuts. It is literally nuts. And then, of course, the claim that this clip says this guy is just it's out of its world. You have to go over to the website and go check it out. Again, Audie, who himself is in prison, was questioned by police officers in Florida for the unrelated case. During the police interview, which has now resurfaced, he claimed to have engaged in activities with Diddy and his former partner, of course, and it says basically he would, watch and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard lots of business and what they would do with Diddy. It was just, I mean, it's over the top. Dex, go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. They keep calling this unrelated, right? And they said it in the other article too. Oh, he's in there and it's unrelated. They don't want to tell you what it's related for. He was in there because of what he did at T-Man's hotel. But really, why did he do what he did at T-Man's hotel? He did that because he wasn't against T-Man. He was just trying to get attention so that he could share the information that he had that included, in addition to all this other stuff about Diddy, and he was all over the place and the things that he had been experienced, but including that there were attempts going to be made specifically on T-Man. And where are we today? They don't mention that here.
Yeah,
they don't want to bring that up. They keep brushing off, oh, he's in jail for something else unrelated. It is related. Like, it's related to what's going on in the world right now. I mean, we've only seen 2 attempts, maybe a third. With that strange thing that happened in Arizona or wherever it was. But yeah.
But they're saying
they don't want to say it.
He's part of the Bolet Club or whatever. It's a public kind of fraternity of this order thing. And that his group wanted to get rid of T-Man. And he was trying to warn him, and that's why he put the American flag over and did all of this stuff. It's absolutely insane. This was back in 2018. So it just makes you, it opens up your mind, and you're like, is this really as crazy as all of the most craziest websites kind of go down this like huge kind of crazy rabbit hole? And then you're like, wait, this actually happened, or this did happen, or wait, this is happening? The whole Jeffrey EpiPen thing. By the way, is he in the same exact jail that EpiPen was in?
No. He's in Brooklyn, and EpiPen was in New York. I mean, they're the same city, but different. The one's called the Brooklyn detention. The other's called New York detention.
So there's 2 different jails that take high profile cases. I'm just wondering, they couldn't put him in the same one. That would be crazy. Now
everybody would eat that up.
Oh yeah, and then what happens? You know, is the camera, the audio and video going to disappear like it did last time? There's going to be no logs of who left and came in. That's going to accidentally be burnt or lost or flushed. Is something. And then are we going to have a slogan? Diddy did it, or Diddy didn't? Diddy didn't do it? I mean, geez, what a perfect time for a massive distraction. Before we move on, make sure to go check out Jace Medical. Again, you can actually get not only a great, awesome kit with as far as different antibiotics, you can also get yourself a 12-month supply of any of your medications. Again, go to marfooglenews.com/Jase, Jase, and make sure to use the code MARF. Again, you can get that kit, the Jase case, or a year extended supply of your regular prescription meds. You'll have to call to learn more, but it's a very simple telehealth appointment. You could talk to a board-certified doctor, and you can end up in just a few minutes getting yourself backup antibiotics, which are incredibly important and life-saving, or you can get yourself a year supply of your medication. So if the hospitals go down, the pharmacies get hacked, whatever happens, you'll have insurance on those things. So go to marfooglenews.com/Jase, Jase, code MARF to save and to help our independent channel at the same time. All right, and then let's go over, and I want to say thank you. There's a few people here to thank. Let's see here. But while we do that, we'll talk about that here in just a second. All right, so let me move this real quick. Dex, let's go over the other stuff. I'm going to pull up some pictures here, and I'm going to have to open up some stuff here for a second. Do you want to talk about the East Coast prepares for invasion?
Oh yeah. So folks, we have a great short. It's over on News. Go take a look at it, share it out. Tell us what you think. I mean, we've got different people describing what looks like dragon's teeth. They're the shape of a dragon's teeth. They also look like what are also been told to us by Foogle fam, and both of this is coming in from Foogle fam. One saw it. They took video, pictures. They're there. You want to see the video and pictures? They're on that video. Go check it out. It's on Marfoogle News on our other channel. And then we also have Foogle fam that came in and said, hey, it looks like this other thing that was obviously being talked about here in Florida called a WAD, or a wave attenuation device that's also been used along the shorelines. Now, they're built very similarly. They look a lot the same, but there's certain characteristics that are different about them. But at the same time, they both can be used technically to stop forward motion of waves, forward motion of tanks or other types of equipment that may be coming on land. So the question is this something that is happening on our coastlines? Are we doing something to prepare for it? And this particular area is a high profile area. It is Space Coast, as they call it. It is near right there, that area where Cape Canaveral is, where Space Force launches from, where Starlink launches from, or SpaceX, I should say, launches from. Everybody launches out of that if they're on the East Coast, Cape Canaveral. So a huge military presence there as well. So it is high profile. So it's a great question to ask. And I think, you should look into it. You should definitely share it with friends and family, because it's one of those things that's like, why are they doing it now? Even if it is benign, why are they doing it now? And why does it have to be done the way it's being done? Because it certainly looks like the same thing that's being rolled out in Poland. We showed you dragon's teeth that they said are absolutely dragon's teeth being placed here because we're expecting an invasion, and they're putting them on the borderlines to prevent forward movement of vehicles. They did it in Lithuania. They put them on the borderlines, and they've done it all along the NATO borders with Belarus and Russia in those areas. So they've done it specifically to stop forward motion of military craft on the ground, tanks and other vehicles. So that's the question.
And again, with that, we're glad that Foogle family members chimed in. If they are truly, WADs, as they call them, I think that they would have had a meeting and said, well, how do we put these kind of defenses in and not alarm people? Well, maybe we'll call them wave attenuation devices. Now, if those do not end up going straight into the water, if they stay on land, that would be a big flag. But who knows? If those were being there, put there for an actual dragon's teeth and not something else, then I would think it would be soon enough that it wouldn't really matter. We wouldn't have time to wait. But that's just my opinion. I think that something massive is going to kick off in the next couple months, at least by January, because of what is happening with the Pick the Prez Day. That alone is going to be a big event. It's going to decide the world's fate. And that's how crazy important it actually is, because the entire world revolves around the U.S. right now. Now, I want to say thank you to many folks that popped in tonight. Amanda Ruiz, thanks, guys, for keeping us informed. Well, thank you. Preppermint says, all the world is a stage, and the Father told us the ending. Love God, love others as you love yourself, and forgive everyone for everything. Love wins. Preppermint, thank you so much for your super, and thank you for the support. VB Lisa and the Bandana Boys says, always on the replay. Thanks, guys. VB Lisa, I hope you stuck around for this point. Carlo Raton, don't forge the subs off our coast and our subs off of their coasts. Oh, don't forget the subs off of our coast and our subs off of their coast, and the 2 Russian subs that moved into Alaskan waters yesterday. Thank you, Carla. And again,
and the UK.
And the UK.
It just happened.
And that's why it takes many of us, our brains can only think so much ourselves. But when you have a whole group of people looking at this stuff, it's so easy to connect things. That's why somebody like that Ian Carroll guy, it's like he also is getting information from all of his ex-followers, and it's like he pulls out something and finds something, then somebody else is finding it. The X community, too, is just really, it's crazy how fast things can be found out. The guy that attempted to take out T-Man the second time, it's like they snatched all of his social media stuff before they were able to take it down. That's how fast it was. Everybody just jumped on top of it. And then Carlo Raton, thank you again. I appreciate that. Bible Talk 777 Studios says, just to be clear, rebar reinforced concrete can be used in water or high moisture projects if coated in epoxy. I worked 15 years at Resco Steel Corp. Yeah, so I don't know if those were, though. Oh, you mean the rebar would have to be coated in epoxy. So there's really no way to know. That wouldn't be like it wouldn't be a telltale sign like if it was or if it wasn't. But then again, Carla Raton says FEMA camp in all 50 states and large state border checkpoints already in place with quick setup styles ready to deploy, quote, real IDs are required to fly starting next year. Yep, that is absolutely true. And then Clayton, hi Adam and Dex, I send you much love. Thank you again for all of you do for us. Keep up the great work. God bless both of you guys. Thank you. Old Combat Vet says ancient bloodlines rule our world, controls all banks. IMF, BIS, Fed print our money. World Bank and own controlling interest in 88% of the corporate world. The Rock of Black, Van of Guard, and State of Street. That is correct as well. All politicians feed at their money trough. That is true. Diddy is the rapper version of EpiPen. Yes, that's what they're saying. And yeah, it's Parker Kraft says it is literally a distraction. Yes, I agree. What is it? Is it a distraction from, though? That's what we all are trying to figure out. And then Ronald Jarvis says, what about the judge that was taken out Kentucky by that sheriff because he was liked the wee ones? I'm trying to think of what that was. What about that judge?
I think that it just happened.
Oh, okay.
I just saw a headline on that. Yeah.
I think I missed
literally in the what I saw in the headline was in the judge's chamber, sheriff took him out. I don't know the details, so I'm going to look into that one.
Yeah,
that's an audacious headline, though.
Yeah, we will most likely be covering that tomorrow. I haven't seen it yet, so again, tune in tomorrow. It's Friday. I'll be doing stuff this weekend, but make sure to tune in for Monday's show because we have a very good one planned for you then. Make sure to go over to marfugglenews.com/friends. Again, you have lots of great people over there. Everybody from Bones, Chance Paladin, CJ Blaze, Optical Gem, Jammer, Lisa Hall, Rip Curl Readiness, RGL Harris, Ilea, Trinity, and Wages World. Thank you guys for all making it tonight and love you very much. Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.
Nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famine and earthquakes in diverse places. Nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famine and earthquakes in diverse places. Nation shall rise against nation,